All right, it's May 14th. May 14th. And we're still in Scapocalypse. I thought it would be over by now, but it's not completely over. All right, let's start with a forecast for apple scab. Let's look up in the Niagara region. They are not completely done with ejection. And even though the ejection component may disappear, I think we should keep a keen eye out on the infection events that come over the coming weeks, since it's been a really heavy, wet and rainy scab season, wet and cool scab season. So let's check it out. Looks like they're in a 29% ejection event right now. They're going to get a break of 0 ejection tomorrow, and it's going to come right back again with 15% for the weekend. It will never not rain in New York. You can see from the leaf wetness hours here, they have 6, 11, 14, 20, and 12, all back to back with a slight break in the rain. It may not have made your orchards too soggy to drive in because we're still less than 1/10 of an inch of rain, but we have a lot of leaf wetness and a lot of cold, perfect for scab weather. Once we get into the 85 degrees, things will get a lot more devastating for apple scab. At this point, we're also moving into a part of the season where powdery mildew may be a concern. In this particular instance, if I was up along the lake shore and I had mildew-sensitive varieties, I think it's time to go for a Group 711 fungicide material that will protect forward against this nonsense and reach back against that one. Some of the different ones I might recommend in this region would be Flint Extra, really solid on powdery mildew. Jam, if it's on the label still. The Luna Sensation and Maravon are excellent choices. They're also part of the Group 7s. I put them in there, and even though they have an 11 component in them, they're a premix. Uses up 2 of their applications, one of the 11, one of the 7. Does pretty well. Ceres is another nice Group 7. I've had some excellent luck with that on mildew. None of these are available on Long Island, though. So in that case, I might go with the Flint Extra if I was on Long Island. But if I was on Niagara and I had an issue with scab and powdery and starts of summer diseases as we're getting into petal fall, I might really use up one of my Luna Sensations or my Maravons or a solid Flint Extra or any one of these other ones as well. Pristine is very similar to Maravon, except that it has a Fluxaprox, has a different Group 7 fungicide in it. I find that the Fluxaprox and Ceres and Maravon, the Group 7, is a little stronger on our apple scab than the boscalid component. That's all I want to say about fungicides. Now we've lost everything, and now I'm going back to my predictions. Here we are. Let's move into the week and go into Williamson. See how that's going. It's going awful. They're done. Yes, they're moving like, oh, we're at 95% maturity, and it's 99 now. When you get to these end of the scales, you're only going to deal with small percentages of maturity. Are these big ejection events? Is there enough here to cause a lot of trouble? Yeah, possibly. And we'll see that when we pop down here and take a look at the combined. It is a 3-day rain event that's coming up. It will begin tomorrow. You have a break in it right now. If you're closer to the Sodus or Albion area, you might be able to skip into these. You can see it's perfect weather for apple scab. Gobs of leaf wetness. I might even still use those same fungicides right here and then really protect forward. Pick us if you have something, maybe that combo, the Group 711 is good. You have 2 materials in there. And at this stage, if you have a choice of protected, I would use Manzate over Cap 10 as we're moving into the thinning period. Things can get rather intense with Cap 10 in slow drying conditions. You can see they're going to be slow drying conditions. It's cold, a lot of leaf wetness, not a good sign. Let's go take a look at Interlaken. Same thing. It's coming again. We're in a wet period right now. In this particular case, this was our Canidia germination window, or Ascospore germination window for our UV. We are zapping things now as they're germinating in the rain, and we would be protecting our crop in a conventional sense with probably some similar fungicides. We have a big one coming up. It says we're already done with apple scab, but I don't think we're ever done. The logic based on these things, there's still a lot of error associated with the models. If I put in that maturity graph, you can kind of see how the error is. Yes, there's less error here because it's plus or minus 5 to 100%. But there still could be a lot of noise in the environment. And even though we're at the 100, it really scares the heck out of me. So I'm going to move that out of the way. I don't want that one. I want to get rid of the graph. There we are. A lot of leaf wetness, a lot of stuff. I think we got to come in when you can get back in there and spray well and put on something good. Manzate is very sticky. The other materials will kick back and take any infections that are creeping through in these types of materials and really protect against that big event that's coming up. Not a lot of rain, a lot of mist and drizzle. We have the English moors here, and it just loves apple scab. What can I say? Let's go to Voorheesville and the Capital District, and another miserable situation of almost 50 hours of leaf wetness. Same scenario. They're almost done with scab. Don't give up yet. I think we should push on to about third or maybe even fourth cover with pretty tight spray intervals. We don't want to lose it all at the 5-yard line, if you understand football analogies. We're right there to the end of the season. If we can keep this stuff going, there will be no canidia. So with all this type of weather, of cold temperatures, nothing really high, we have to push hard. Let's go up and check Jay-Z out. That's awful too. And they have a worse situation. See, when they're lower on the maturity scale of 83 and 90, they have a lot more to eject and are getting these 11 and 10, 6, 7%. It's all happening. The last 30, 25% is all going this weekend. If you can get in there today, tomorrow, make sure you're well covered. And then, as you're approaching petal fall as well, or moving deep into the late phases of bloom, you want no injury. Keep that cap down out of that cold, wet weather. Use your Manzate protection. If you don't have that, then for goodness sakes, put in a biopesticide if you need a protectant material in there. I mean, we know that Manzate is limited. The biopesticides will do enough of the deed for resistance management. They may not be the strongest in these sort of long, wet weather conditions, but they can do quite well for the resistance management component because, frankly, the Group 711 fungicide single-site combo is enough to take care of all of this. You just need that little extra bump to get rid of anything that escapes. So let's head down to the Hudson Valley and Campbell Hall, see how we're doing there. It's even worse. They just never get a break in the rain in the Hudson Valley. It's just constant. I mean, their ascospores are ejected, but if anything has crept through, if there's anything remaining in terms of ascospore or canidia infection, we're approaching an inch of rain and it's never stopping. They hopefully have already applied something, but if you haven't, maybe get it on before that 0.6 is happening. If you've already protected before the event, wait till this Sunday or next Monday and then come in with those similar material that's going to have a little bit of reach back. Because as we know, I'd like to say that the 19th and 20th would be a scab-free week, but I bet if I look at the forecast in 5 days, it'll be chock full of rain. Once again, in this cool weather, I know that Monday might be approaching in the 56 is the high, so it depends on some parts of the state. So we've got to be careful. Let's look at Riverhead, Long Island. Yep, same awful situation. We're in the middle of it. Get something on, and if it washes off, get ready to protect again next week. I'll be back with you on Sunday looking at that. If you still feel like, put something on the 11th, it'll probably survive this. It might not get washed off. And then you can come back on the 17th and clean up anything and then protect for that oncoming infection events for the week. Let's switch to fire blight. The one nice caveat about all this cold, wet weather is it's going to be terrible for fire blight, and I'm hoping the fire blight forecasts have died off a little bit. And they say bloom is over, but let's just pretend for a minute, we'll hit the 27th of April, that you still had some rat tail bloom, had some late blooming varieties, and what does it say for Long Island? You're looking good. So this cold, wet weather is great for apple scab. I think you're going to escape fine. You're not even going to have a hot post-bloom period. In the thinning weather, I often like to be a little worried. I'm often a little worried during the thinning 10 to 15 millimeter sprays in really, really hot weather because sometimes I feel like the materials damage the fruit in order to kill them and thin them, and it might put just enough injury to exacerbate fire blight. In this weather, nope. You might need a stronger dose of thinner, but you probably aren't going to cause the type of damage that one could use to take fire blight. Why does it say high? Because you have open, wet flowers according to the buttons I clicked up here by saying the 27th. But there's not enough heat accumulation to kick it up to that infection bonus. So we have the right temperatures. It's probably getting a little cool at night, but it's just not enough to do it. Let's move up back into the Hudson Valley. I'm going to spell it right. See how we're looking there. Oh, we're done too. Yep, let's just pretend like some rat tail is out there. And this was the case. If you had stuff late in removing, It looks ominous for the Hudson Valley. It's going to be warmer. What's our average temperatures? All above that 65. So it's not going to give you that bonus for kicking down. So that means with this rain on Friday, there is a potential that it's humid, it's warm enough, and there's no cool nights. And if flowers are present, wet and bloom, I would say in the Hudson Valley, I had anything hanging on, I would finish strong with strep or Cassumin. Cassumin, if applied very late in the season, might pick up some early infections of blister spot through serendipity only. It is not labeled for that, but has been very effective in when I have used it for fire blight and noticed a lower level of blister spot on my New York ones, also known as Snapdragons as the marketed cultivar. So something to consider. It also doesn't hurt to rotate the antibiotics to make sure nothing escapes. So I would say come in strong, watch this, and it's constantly raining. When you can get in there, maybe cover those things up. You might want to be a little cautious with Blossom Protect at this point because we're at the end of the season and that Aureobasidium can cause russet on developing fruit in cold, wet weather. So maybe steer away from that and focus on the antibiotics. Can you use biologicals? Yeah, you probably do all right with this, particularly in this case. But it's also the period of time when you need to start thinking about managing shoot blight. I'll release later videos on what to do with that. It doesn't really have much to do with models at that point, but just practice. So let's go Peru. I'm just going to hit that one, see how that looks. It's thinking. Oh, it's dismal for Peru Northern Orchards. Wow. It is hot fire blight weather. It's going to be hot in the 70s. We're going to check another site as well. We'll head back to Chazy in a minute. But it is miserable weather. If you can, I'd definitely put on I think it's antibiotic time, no doubt. And I might try to put that on between right at this like 14, 15. It might even be worth getting in there as long as you can drive those tractors. How much rainfall do we actually have? Just a drizzle. As long as you're not tearing up your orchards, I think I might put it in there right around that 14, 15 mark just to be on the safe side. Let's check Chazy region since it's so devastatingly scary. And did I click it? I don't know. Yeah, I did. It also says we're all going to die from fire blight. Fair enough. Yep. It's coming in. The infection potential is possible. It's hot. It's weather. It looks like now is your driest point. Get it on tonight. If you make applications at night, always put your Cassumin on in the evening. That way it doesn't degrade in the UV lights that are coming from the sun. Even if it is cloudy, you might get a little bit of UV coming in and breaking down your Cassumin. So if you can get out tonight, just do it. Not a bad thing to happen. It is very dangerous in the Lake Champlain area. How does the Capital District look? I'm almost terrified to look. Okay, yes, the terror is well awarded. It is, yes, it's miserable right now. We're in an infection event. Both models are saying it is big time. You could be close to petal fall, but if you have anything hanging on late cultivars at 67, 60 and 70, average temperatures, they say now is the least rain, probably headed towards this evening. And the other thing that's also nice about spraying at night is the population seemed to surge more at night, according to some research from one of my colleagues, Suzanne Slack out of Iowa. And if you get that on at night, you'll be killing those bacteria as they boost up. Let's see what happens if I put a spray date. I'm going to put one in. I'm going to see what happens. What does it do? Yep, if I put one on the 15th, it says Friday's miserable. Let's do it on the 16th. What does it say then? No, 16th says it's a little bit too late. But there's going to be a lot of play in this. I think I'd go the 15th if I could. Put it out there. If you put it on the 14th, what does that do? It tells you got to spray again heavily on the weekend. But, you know, it won't necessarily wash off, but it will mean that any populations remaining will build back up. I think 15 is the golden time. If you can hit it out, maybe closer to the evening hours on the 15th, I think you're safe. Or if you already got it on, wonderful. Let's go into the Finger Lakes area. Will my planting die? Yep, we're getting a little dip. I bet there's a little bit of cold weather on the 16th, and it heats right back up on the 17th with a 121. If you're in the Finger Lakes, I would put that strep or antibiotic on probably tonight or tomorrow morning and knock it out. What does it say for rain? I think our field crew is going to spray on the 15th and knock that down. Let's see what the models would say. Finger Lake area, if you do a 15th in the morning, good timing. So good judgment on the part of the Agritech field crew. The models would agree. Let's go to Williams and see how we're doing there. As you move to Western New York, looks like they're getting a free pass. A little bit of warm weather. You just put on a little bit of a biological. It still says you have a little bit of bloom, but you could finish strong and just get that last antibiotic on to make sure you make it into the part where you have no more flowers on the tree. We still have plenty of flowers on the trees in Geneva. We're not even at the rat tail stage. It's pretty hefty, so I imagine Sodus region is plenty of flowers, and Niagara is probably as well. We'll start back with Appleton again. Another peaceful time, a lot of leaf wetness. Some warmer temperatures could be enough to cause a little bit of concern in highly susceptible varieties, and I might be tempted to put something on. If I was going to put something on the 15th, do they have a break in this? Yeah, they have a mild break in the rain on the 15th. If I were to make an application, put that on the 15th, yeah, it would kind of clear it out a little bit for the rest of the week. So you can kind of play with these things a little bit, and thank you to Dan Olmstead and Surgeon at Virginia Tech for pushing our programmer to get that sort of forecasted streptomycin spray in there. Nicely done. All right, that's it for the week. I will come back over the weekend. We'll talk about powdery mildew because it's really hitting hard for the powdery mildew timing. I'll talk a little bit about that and some of the basic management practices for shoot blight and a forecast. All right, see ya.